Hey, how y'all doing today? God, it suddenly got windy and cold. It was a beautiful day today and got windy and cold on us here in Toronto. You never know what's gonna happen next. Got a little light snow going on here with my little guy as we're sniffing about, checking out my usual graveyard spot. Oh, big day yesterday. Super Tuesday down in the States. Enormous day. And a lot of questions got answered. I'll get the conspiracy brain out of the way first and foremost, so that we can get along to a narrative of Bernie Sanders actually winning. Conspiracy brain is like, yeah, of course. Like they have an app called Shadow App, right? They manipulate the vote tally. You can take a look. There are certain states that the polling shows that Bernie was going to walk away with it, or that it was between Bernie and Warren, and then Biden wins, and you're like, that's interesting. That's interesting that a person who was supposed to get third place at best won the race. Interesting. No talk in the media, certainly no talk, even in the leftist media, right? Like in the sources who I actually respect, about the fact that they can rig this election. They literally can just rig it with an app. 1 second. Milo, come on, buddy. Sorry about that, bud. Come on, buddy, let's go. Good boy. Yeah, he's a little burfy guy. He likes to burf. Yeah, burfs away. I mean, they can't make it overt. They can't make it so outrageous, except they have in several situations. I.e., Biden wins first place when he should place third, according to every poll that's been done in the region. So they have to make it so that, you know, Bernie can win a couple of things. Sure, he can win here and there. That's fine. But any race where it's even remotely close, if there's any wiggle room, right, you just make the app, you just do the app and make it go Biden's way. That's fine. Okay, conspiracy hat off. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this seriously. Oh, we got another little guy here. Yeah, here's my little guy. He's a scaredy little pug. Hey, buddy. Oh, and away he goes. I see your guy's a scaredy guy too. Yep. Yeah, very good. You'll be hand in hand together. Yep. Here's a good boy. She thinks I'm gonna give her food. Okay, Milo, let's go, buddy.
Milo's nice.
Oh yeah. You guys are good boys.
Hi,
good
Milo.
boys.
Hi.
Oh yeah, I know, you're a scaredy pug.
Yeah.
Okay, buddy, let's go.
Nobody could touch her like a year ago. Now
Well, hey,
better.
that's a real improvement, bud.
Oh, it's a huge improvement. She used to bark ferociously. Everybody. Anything she, everything.
Beautiful. Have a good one, bud.
Walk past you.
Have a good one, bud. All right, dogs and dog ownership, eh? Oh, my little pug, my little scaredy pug. Oh yeah, of course I'm trying to do this recording and it's like dog heaven out here right now. Oh well, what do you do? Okay, back to Bernie. Conspiracy hat off. Let's talk about this as if they're not cheating, which they are. But let's say that they're not, and that they're actually saying, oh, a person voted for us, that's a vote. Oh, a person voted for Bernie, that's a vote for Bernie. Okay, and all is legitimate in the world. It isn't, but let's pretend as though it is for the sake of argument, because that's what everybody else seems to want to do, because I guess it keeps hope alive. So, Bernie. I think what happened on Super Tuesday is pretty straightforward. I think that before, first of all, Bernie Sanders and his people got lazy. They got real complacent. They got really sitting on their laurels. They got real full of themselves and happy. Things were looking really good going into Super Tuesday for them. The polling was looking really good. And so I think the people on the ground got lazy and they stopped doing the work, and they stopped fighting the fight. You know, instead of going out and knocking on 5 more doors, they were like, let's go for drinks early. What the hell, right? We're polling really well. Let's go, right? Meanwhile, you have on the Biden side of things, you do have Pete Buttigieg drops out, Amy Klobuchar drop out. They both endorse Biden, right? So you're looking at, like, in Iowa, for example, where Bernie and Buttigieg split. They each got, I think, 11 delegates. So that's 11 more delegates for Biden. They just go to Biden. Let's go this way, buddy. It's less muddy this way. Good boy. Pretty muddy over here. Okay. Same with Klobuchar, right? Any gains that Klobuchar has made, any people voting for Klobuchar, they're just going to go Biden, right? That's, if you're going to support Klobuchar, you're going to support the person she says to support. So there was what's been called a coalescing, right? Like, there are big question marks about who is going to come out as the main opponent against Bernie. Bloomberg, he's also dropped out as well. And so the last legitimate contender now is Biden. Biden had a big bump going into South Carolina, right? And the media, of course, just plowed into Biden. They were just like, oh, wow, he won his home state. That must mean he's the president of the United States. That's fundamentally what it was. Like, Bernie Sanders won the last 3 states, gets no media coverage, no one cares. In fact, it's a complete media silence. Biden wins 1 state, which happens to be his home state, which he should win in the first place. And he's the president of the United States of America, as far as the media is concerned. You have big endorsements coming at the 0 hour, right? You have Barack Obama really coming out and endorsing Biden right at the right time, which, I mean, nothing conspiratorial about that. They were, they're good friends, Obama and Biden, president, vice president, right? Who's Barack Obama's not going to endorse Biden? Come on. So there's a real, I'll use a gamer term here, there's a really good timing push going on by the establishment. They really managed to get all of the pieces coalescing at exactly the right moment. All of the right people dropped out. All of the right people said, endorsed Biden. It was this big swell of energy right behind Biden. It's being called, by some leftists I've heard, the Empire Strikes Back, right? You had a new hope in the first 3 states. Well, the Empire struck back, right? And so now we march into the finale of the trilogy, with the return of the Jedi, or in this case, the return of the Bernie. Now here's the hope, right? Here's the hopefulness. You have Biden. This was his shot, right? This is it. Obama can't re-endorse him, right? They can't recapture that energy. This was the swell for Biden. That means that this is like peak Biden coming out of Super Tuesday. And here's something that's not going to be well reported, right? Because when the corporate media was reporting what was going on Super Tuesday, they very much were reporting that, oh, Biden ran away with it, Biden's the clear winner, all this kind of stuff. We won't bother counting California. We won't bother counting California. That's fine. Good night, everybody. Right, but the second you account for California, you see pretty clearly that Biden and Bernie walk out of Super Tuesday tied. That's where you're at right now. There's this narrative, of course, that's like Biden, he's the new guy, he's completely the winner, he's the new president. But Bernie and him are tied. So now we're actually in a race, because before there was a great deal of confusion. And that's what this Super Tuesday has done more than anything. It has cleared the way for the fight that we always knew was coming. The fight between Biden and Bernie. We always knew that Bernie and Biden were going to go head to head. Bloomberg's dropped out. Klobuchar's dropped out. Buttigieg has dropped out. The only reason Warren's still in the race is because she's angling for an appointed position. Secretary of State. I've even heard Vice President get thrown around. she's angling for one of these sort of juicy positions so that she can, if she's got, you know, if she's got like 10% of the delegates, you know, and either side needs 10% to kick their way, come on, what are you going to give me? What are you going to give me, right? When you're a cynical liar the way that Warren is, this is the game that you play. So really the race comes down to Bernie versus Biden. And Bernie, I actually think Bernie's well positioned, right? Biden has a horrific record. His record is brutal. People who are standing up and saying like, I just want some normalcy, let's get Biden, he's quote unquote the moderate candidate. It's like, yeah, if you consider like murdering 200,000 people in an illegal war of aggression against people who weren't involved in whatever was going on, a moderate position to take, I guess. If you think impoverishing millions of Americans with a trade deal that allows people to ship their jobs overseas, a moderate position, I mean, I guess. If you think allowing hundreds of thousands of people to bankrupt themselves and to die because they can't deal with medical issues, a moderate position, I mean, I guess. I mean, oh my God, the more I talk about it, it sounds to me like Biden is a hardcore right-wing fascist. Oh man, hundreds of thousands of preventable deaths, a war of aggression, theft, corruption. Joe Biden, that's your moderate? I don't think so, guys. Like, I don't think so. And then to tap it all off, the guy has dementia. Like, the guy has dementia. He doesn't have, you know, a stagger like I'm doing right now. He's not sputtering around looking for the word, right? He forgets what he's talking about in the middle of the speech. He gets irrationally angry at people suddenly and unexpectedly. He loses his train of thought. There's a clip where Bernie Sanders has had to take Biden aside and explain to him what's happening on the stage. It's almost like Bernie has been Biden's handler. And what's fascinating about this is that Bernie has really been soft-gloving Biden this whole time, because it's kind of looked like Biden hasn't really been that much of a presence in the first handful of states. He didn't do very well. He scored like 4th in Iowa, same deal in New Hampshire, Nevada, right? Getting outplayed by Warren, Buttigieg, right? It's only when he gets to his home state of South Carolina that he suddenly has kind of activated. But we haven't really seen Bernie ever go after Biden directly. They've been very amicable with one another. Biden has even gone over to Bernie and hugged him in the middle of a debate, right? Oh, excuse me, I'm fighting this hill. Hill! Oh yeah, we're always fighting a hill, eh? It's always uphill, right? When you think you're gonna win, gotta beat that hill. Well, the hill hasn't beaten me yet. It will one day. So, the Sanders campaign now the lines are clearly drawn. That's what's important here. The delegate count is fundamentally tied. Sure, it's like a percentage point here or there. Then, honestly, the states haven't even finished counting. So, the final number won't be delivered until literally the day of the convention, because that's in the favor of the establishment. They don't want people to actually know what's going on. So Bernie and Biden are tied. So now Bernie has to play this game, and the lines are clear. But Bernie is making the case of reform. The reformers' case going into this election. And what's scary and interesting about what we're seeing is that for the first time now, Bernie he's not only not the front runner, right? He is playing from a second position at this exact moment, according to the narrative. But it is looking like the thing that is Bernie's sort of Achilles heel is that he's not endearing himself enough to the old guard. There's an old guard of Democrat that he's not convincing, right? That are fine if people go bankrupt because of their medical bills, that are fine that 100,000 deaths a year are caused by medical issues that are preventable. Those people are fine with all of that, right? They don't really care about climate change. They don't really care about issues that matter. What they care about is maintaining their current position of prestige and wealth. They don't care about other people. Who knew fascism was so fashionable? I guess it's in the name. Fash. So Bernie Sanders can win, but he has to win by taking Biden on directly, which is something he has never actually done. He's never actually said of Joe Biden, hey, this guy voted for a disastrous war. Hey, this guy voted for all those bills that you all hate. He's not interested in providing Medicare for all. He's not interested in civilizing the culture. He's not interested. In fact, his record shows the opposite. And so if Bernie can come out and actually start swinging against Joe Biden specifically, he can win. He can win. But it's going to be a hard fight. And for Bernie Sanders at this point, winning means getting not getting a majority. Him getting a majority of delegates at this point is not going to happen. So this is where we get into sort of the hopelessness aspect of this situation, which I never want to deny. Bernie Sanders not getting a majority means that the superdelegates will give it to Joe Biden, which means that Donald Trump becomes the president of the United States again, because Joe Biden has dementia, and if Bernie's not willing to exploit that, Trump will. Like Trump will. What do you think Trump's going to do? Right? You think Trump's just going to let Joe Biden fall into a dementia-fueled stupor in front of him, in front of millions of people, and everyone's just going to go, and Donald Trump's just going to go, oh yeah, okay, let's move on to the next point, or oh, poor Joe. No. False. And if Bernie doesn't point out that Joe Biden has dementia, and if Biden somehow doesn't manage to out himself and show everyone around him that he has dementia, and Donald Trump is going to grind him into the earth. What, you're gonna give this guy the nukes? You're gonna give this guy, he can't even finish a sentence. We're talking about foreign policy, Joe. Joe, do you know where you are? Are you here? You want this guy to say hi to Putin? This guy? Yeah, absolutely that's gonna happen, guys. Like, so there's this is how desperate the establishment has become. They're so desperate to get behind a non-reform candidate, someone who's gonna maintain their position of wealth and prestige and not threaten what their status, but simultaneously might allow them to coalesce and get power, right? Because the reality is they would rather Donald Trump get into power than Bernie Sanders, because Donald Trump maintains their position of power, right? They still get their billions, they still get their money, they still get all this stuff. Like, why they don't care if Donald Trump wins. These guys are just walking around being like, what an uncouth barbarian, dear me. Call the car around, Cindy. Like, tell the nanny that she can go home early. I need to take a pill and lie down. Like, these people are not affected by Donald Trump or by Biden winning this election. They're completely unaffected. For them, it's total vanity. There's no consequences for them. Where the consequences lie is if Bernie Sanders gets in, which is why Bernie Sanders cannot win this election. He simply isn't permitted to. And let's put back on the conspiracy tinfoil hat, right? Even if Bernie Sanders walked into this convention with the, I'm struggling with that word, plurality. Wow, struggling with that word. Plurality. Even if he walks into this with a plurality of voters, having the most amount of people vote for him, superdelegates knock him out, right? The line that's going around, even in corporate media, is, well, you know, if they did that, if they used the superdelegates and usurped the will of the people, it would destroy the Democratic Party. That's the line that you've been hearing. And here's what's real. They don't care if they destroy the Democratic Party. They care about their money. They care about themselves. They look at what they're willing to destroy already. They're willing to destroy whole nations. They're willing to destroy whole cultures. They're willing to grind people into the earth in poverty. They're willing to let people die because they don't have enough insulin. That's what they're willing to sacrifice for their own wealth and prestige. Of course they're willing to sacrifice the Democratic Party. They don't care about the Democratic Party. They care about their own money. And if anything, they'll look at that and be like, oh, it's going to destroy this party. Oh, okay, so no point investing any time in the Democratic Party. I guess I'm a Republican now. That's what they'll do, right? That's what Mike Bloomberg did. Mike Bloomberg was a Republican until he decided to run for the President of the United States of America, right? So I want to be hopeful. I really do. I want to stand behind Bernie, and I want him to win. I truly do. But I've wanted people to win in the past, and they got knocked out for all kinds of reasons. All kinds of chicanery and all kinds of shenaniganry. I don't think it's going to be different here. If Bernie Sanders really does want to be president of the United States, he needs to take the kid gloves off. He needs to start challenging Joe Biden directly. He needs to challenge the establishment Democrats directly. He needs to fight directly. He can't still keep talking about the things that he wants to do, because that's only going to get you so far. He needs to point out that Joe Biden loses to Donald Trump, loses badly to Donald Trump. He needs to point out that Joe Biden has a voting record that works against the people, not for the people. He needs to go hard on these issues, because all Joe Biden has going for him at this point is name recognition. We'll see how it plays out. All right, I'm home. I'm done walking my dog. I hope you guys are all having fun out there. Love you all. Good luck.